All right, 526 on the Talk of Chicago. Dr. Umar Johnson, our guest, Kimberly Agoin. We've got some phone calls on the line. If you just tuned in,
well, let me ask a question, just a question really quickly, though, because I didn't get a chance to even say hello, Dr. Johnson. Nice to talk to you.
Good afternoon, my beautiful African queen.
Oh, that's very sweet. If we're talking about this issue being a white issue, and we have a caller who calls in all the time, her name is Pam, saying that we are not taking white people to task enough. You know, we're always trying to identify the problems within our community, trying to be respective and responsible for our role in the things that are happening. But as you just mentioned, there's racism at the base of all of it. How do you bring white people into solving a problem when they are reluctant to even admit there is one?
I don't believe that you can bring white people to the table towards solving a problem that represents a conflict of interest for their agenda. White people have always had a consistent need to control and patrol African Americans. We cannot be allowed to exercise our God-given talents because we represent a political economic threat to white privilege. So to ask them to come to the table, in my humble opinion, is a bit unrealistic, because in coming to that table, they undermine their own agenda. But what we can do, as the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we cannot legislate attitude. Okay, we cannot legislate opinion, but we can legislate behavior. So the one thing we do have to engage white people on is changing the laws so that they are more protective of black life, vis-a-vis requiring that police assassinations of unarmed, defenseless African Americans are convicted and treated as hate crimes. That is something we should be looking towards.
All right, 773-591-1690. If you are just tuning in, we at the top of the hour played this spoken word performance by Brandon Leak on last night's America's Got Talent. He did a very powerful piece based on him being a black man loved by his mom. We've got Dr. Umar Johnson on the live line with us right now, talking about the impact violence has on us and on our families, and the violence that all this stuff that we're seeing on television and the impact that has as well. All right, let's go to Rick real quick. Rick, welcome to WVON. What's on your mind, brother?
Hi. I've been listening, and I grew up in Chicago in the inner city. And I believe that all people have, in a free society, all people have a right to observe others and to notice what they observe and to make comment about it, to offer critiques of the behavior of individuals and groups of people. So I don't feel that because someone is white that they can't criticize other groups. I don't subscribe to that. I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of diversity: blacks, Puerto Ricans, Italians, Mexicans, Appalachian people, and I feel like there's a stereotyping of white people that all white people are the same, and all white people have benefited and participated in the oppression of black people, and that's just not true. There's a stereotype that all white people back in the days when slavery was, that all white people were slave owners. That's an example. All white people were not slave owners. And I've heard that it was a minority of white people who were slave owners. That means that the majority of white people were not slave owners. And during the slave days, there were abolitionists, white people who fought against slavery. And there's a stereotyping of white people today by some black people, and that is that all white people have ill will toward blacks or other minorities, so-called.
All right.
And I say so-called because in the world, in the United States, blacks are the minority, or a minority, but in the world, Europeans are the minority.
All right, good call, Rick. We'll let everybody
unpack
chop that up when we come back. 773-591-1690. Dr. Umar. Yeah, 539 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM WVON. We've got some phone calls. We've got Dr. WILMINGTON on, our guest. He's got a new book out. We're going to talk about it coming up here. What's the name of the book, Doc?
Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools.
Oh, wow. Timely. No doubt about it, with the start of school coming up. Also, if you're just tuning in, we played a segment, a clip, a performance from Brandon Leak. He performed last night on America's Got Talent. Talked about his love with his mom. His mother's concerned about him as a black man going out into the world and whether or not he would come back. Very powerful piece. You can go to WVON.com, check it out there, on our Facebook page as well, and see it and contribute to this conversation. All right. Did either one of you guys want to comment on our last caller's?
I most certainly would like to.
Already.
In reference to the Caucasian caller, here is what I want to say. He is absolutely correct. Only a minority of white people actually own slaves. That is true. But where he is incorrect is in drawing the conclusion that just because it was a minority of white who owned slaves, that other white people did not benefit from slavery. Nothing could be further from the truth. The tobacco that they smoked, the cotton in the clothes that they wore, the sugar in the food that they ate. When you look at the employment, most white people, even if they did not own slaves, were employed in an industry that was directly or indirectly fueled by the enslavement of black people. It's no different than when white people argue today. I didn't kill Trayvon Martin. I didn't shoot Philando Castile, Walter Scott, Sandra Bland. That's true. But guess what? You support the miseducation system. You support the police. Look at the millions of dollars that killer cops have been able to raise on their GoFundMe accounts for their defense, coming almost exclusively from white people before they even reviewed the facts of the case. You do not have to pull the trigger, but if you supported the situations and circumstances that gave rise to the trigger being pulled, you are just as guilty.
All right. We've got callers. Let's go to Tony. Tony's been holding on for the longest. Tony, welcome to VON. What's on your mind?
Hey, man, thanks for taking my call. Hey, Doc, man, it's always good to hear your voice, bro. I saw you in person when you came to Chicago. You was on the southwest side at one of the libraries the first time I saw you and heard of you, and I've been following you ever since. I just have a quick question. I just want to know your comment on how and what do you think about how white men, particularly white America, white men, utilize our sisters in powers of position to carry their water, and subsequently the way the black women have been handling themselves when it comes down to our community and black men?
Great question. And I would briefly answer that by saying this. Radical black feminism. I'm not talking about a respectful black womanism, but a radical black feminism is being interjected into the black community's conversation, and it is eroding trust and respect between black men as well as black women. And what they are trying to do, they being the American white power structure, is drive a wedge between black men and black women by trying to convince our sisters that black men are the reason that they are in the condition that they are in. And it is important for black women to understand that although black men have a lot we need to work on, and we are in fact responsible for a lot of the disrespect and other things that is happening to our sisters that we can control, at the same time, we need to keep in mind that we work together. It is the black man and the black woman together that will bring a solution to black America, not us blaming each other for things that white America are responsible for.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, not us blaming each other, because many of the callers that call in are blaming the proliferation of black women who are seeking office and becoming office holders as being what you would call black, radical feminism, and that it is that in and of itself is the cause of the ills of the black community, not the fact that we've had black elected officials forever or a really long time, and our communities have struggled. So what do you consider that to be black radical feminism, that you've got, a black woman running for vice president, several black female mayors? What is black radical feminism?
Okay, black radical feminism is white feminism in a black face. And so to take it to another point, to address your question directly, we have to look at each black woman candidate individually. I cannot paint them all with a broad brush. I'm a big fan of Maxine Waters. There's other sisters in the Congressional Black Caucus who I respect and who I believe have some positive things that they want to do for the community. I was a fan of Carol Mosley Braun and many others. But at the same time, I will concede that there is an attempt to bring forth an army of radical black feminists that the white power structure can depend on to keep black men locked out. That's not every black woman. I don't think it's most black women, but we must be responsible and admit that that does exist.
Doc, tell us about the book, and you're coming to Chicago for a book signing. Let everybody know about that.
Yes, sir. Friday, September the 18th will mark Dr. Umar's 10-year anniversary to the date of when I first came to Chicago. Saturday, September the 18th of 2010 was the first time I met the black community in Chicago. It has been 10 beautiful long years. And on Friday, September the 18th of 2020, 2 weeks from now, I will be releasing my book, and I chose Chicago to be the place to do it. I will be at Yassa's Senegalese restaurant, 3511 South King Drive on Friday the 18th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. signing books. So you can drop in, take a picture, get your book signed, and have a conversation with Dr. Umar Johnson.
And I got about 40 seconds, but give us a little background on the book.
Yes, sir. This book is a continuation of the first book, Psychoacademicholocaust. With this book, I am giving parents the specific steps they need to take in order to protect their children. So I have a whole bunch of sample letters that parents can use. If you don't think your child had a reading disability and you want to challenge the findings of the school, this is the letter you send. If your child does have a reading disability, but they have not been getting the help that they were entitled to, this is the letter you send. I also show them how to review the IEP, how to review the psychological evaluation. I also give them backgrounds on how they should conduct themselves whenever they attend a school meeting. Never go by yourself is rule number one. Black parents in Chicago have to stop attending public school and charter school meetings alone. Take somebody with you. You need a witness to the conversation.
All right, Dr. Umar Johnson, as always, thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, and blessings to you, Queen.
All right, 547 on WVON. We'll take more of your phone calls. Robin's got traffic and weather coming up next.